Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. What's happening in Parliament is unprecedented. Yesterday, 78 MPs were suspended from both houses for the remaining period of the session. And today, another 49 MPs have been suspended. And that takes the total figure to 141 MPs. That's a huge number. And what were these MPs demanding? These MPs were demanding a statement from Home Minister Amit Shah on the security breach which happened in Parliament on December 13th. Now, Amit Shah has just not bothered to give any statement. And if you talk about the Prime Minister, who was seen today addressing the parliamentary meeting with the MPs of the BJP MPs from both houses, where he said, while addressing the MPs, that opposition is trying to ventilate its frustration because they lost the election. Now, the question we are asking that is the opposition wrong when it's demanding a statement from Home Minister Amit Shah on such a serious security breach which has happened? Is Prime Minister in no mood to break this deadlock? And are we heading towards a parliament which will be free of the opposition? Joining me now is Anand Sahai, senior political commentator and journalist. Sir, thank you so much for joining on the Federal. We have Vivek Deshpande, senior journalist with us. Thank you so much, Vivek. And we have TK Rajlakshmi, who's the deputy editor of the Frontline. Thank you, Rajlakshmi. And let me begin with Anand Sahai. Mr. Sahai, what you really have to say on PM's statement where he says that the opposition is trying to ventilate its frustration because they have recently lost the assembly elections?
I think this is a verbal or oral sleight of hand. A sleight of hand, as you know, is a trick with which you deceive people. The MPs in both houses are well within the right to ask the government of the day any questions which are agitating them, which are agitating the country, which is agitating Parliament as a whole. And if they did not do so, they will be remiss. They would not be performing their duties. In that event, their constituents will be within the rights to ask them, why did we send you to Parliament? If you can't ask a question about an event of such a magnitude, then what are you doing there? You're not representing us. I do not like to believe that the ordinary people of India, men and women, who work hard, who toil, who go and vote, who keep the Parliament alive, who keep the democracy alive, they keep the national economy going. I don't think they will be amused when they are told that their MPs may not ask questions. What the Prime Minister has said today is part of a planned build-up of a very malignant narrative, which began 2 days earlier when he said in a television, in a newspaper interview of the Dainik Jagran, which is a wide circulated newspaper in Hindi.
Yes.
That the matter was serious. The security breach, he accepted it was a security breach. It was a serious matter, but we should not debate it. It's a security breach, it's a serious matter, but we should not debate it. The Parliament of India should not debate a major security lapse in our Parliament. What kind of, is he trying to spin words of magic around us? Should we accept him at face value? And it's indeed very sad that the PM addressed the BJP parliamentary party today, but he does not see it fit to address the Parliament itself. The Home Minister is absent from Parliament. When the Parliament is in session, the norm, the convention is that the Prime Minister and leading ministers, they're all present and they do not speak outside the Parliament. They don't run to television studios. They don't give interviews outside. In fact, they have told interviewers in the past, they have told journalists in the past that, sorry, I can't answer this. I have to first answer this in the House. The sanctity of Parliament. PMs are known to have cancelled important visits abroad when it clashes with the Parliament. But today we see a complete abdication of responsibility on the part of the government, on the part of the Union Home Minister, on the part of the Prime Minister of India. And this is in such stark contrast to what transpired when the terrorists, these people are not terrorists, but when terrorists had struck, they had also breached the security. Luckily, they didn't come inside the Chamber of Parliament, inside, but into the precincts of Parliament. Some people were killed. I forget the exact number, 6, 7, 8, 9 people were killed, including Parliament House staff, some Delhi police personnel, including a gardener. When that happened, the PM spoke that very day. He spoke with great eloquence. Prime Minister Vajpayee spoke with eloquence of a very high order. That was the first official statement from the government. And a few days down the line, I don't have the dates now, 4 or 5 days later, the then Home Minister, Shri L.K. Advani, made a statement where he gave out proper details that were available. Today, we do not know what's happened. All that we know is that these people, these half a dozen people involved in this case, they have been booked under UAPA, which is an act against terrorists. Are they terrorists? What is the definition of terrorism? These chaps are running away from a discussion, from a debate, because then they know that they'll be caught by the people of India. They're refusing to go to Parliament, speak officially and formally, because in that event, everything will be part of the record. They are running away from their failure being jotted down in the record. That is what they're running away from, while they're busy giving interviews to their favored channels and papers and their MPs. But I can tell you one thing, that every BJP MP, leave alone the opposition, will be squirming. I know many of them. I've known them in the past. They are not all people like this. They are not people like their leaders, a large number of them. They will be squirming that one day they'll have to go and answer before the people. And what's happened is this. There is a direct link between the street and the Parliament and the House. There is a direct link between the states of the Union and the Rajya Sabha. So, if you are denying the opportunity of MPs, elected MPs, to speak, which means you're denying the people of India you're inhibiting them from speaking. You are inhibiting them from knowing what's going on. And I do not think that's all right. The PM is trying to spin a narrative of his convenience while running away literally from his duties as an MP. He too is an MP. When he first came in, he was elected, he bowed low at the doors of Parliament House, touched his forehead to the ground, as though he was committing an act of great worship of democracy. And now we have seen, how shallow that gesture was.
Right. Maybe if I come to you, I was just looking at Prime Minister's statement, and since the parliamentary meeting happened today itself, now he has also said that opposition is trying to give a muted or an indirect support to this breach of security which has happened by saying, like he referred to Rahul Gandhi's statement, that the breach of security happened because of unemployment. And Prime Minister today has said that, opposition is trying to support this act. in direct and indirect manner. Now, what would you really say? What is PM trying to tell those MPs when he makes a statement like this, rather than giving an on-the-record statement inside the House?
Yeah. Nilu, I think we can only expect the Prime Minister to say something like that. I mean, he would always look for any opportunity to put the opposition down and twist and spin whatever the opposition says to his advantage. That is what he has been doing all through. We have seen that happen over the last 10 years. He regularly does that. So the opposition has to be very careful in what it says. I think the opposition should have very clearly condemned what these four people have done. See, nobody should support what they have done. That is not the way to do things. I mean, you enter parliament and you open a canister.
Are you
fill
saying Rahul Gandhi shouldn't have made a statement like that? That this
No. I feel Rahul Gandhi should have unequivocally condemned what these four people did, and then he should have qualified his statement by saying that while what they did was absolutely wrong, what they perhaps wanted to, the message that they wanted to convey was right. I mean, if that is the way you put it, then nobody can catch you on the wrong foot. But Mr. Modi is very clever. He does that very with aplomb, and he has been doing that very successfully over the years. He's weaving that kind of a narrative against the opposition very successfully. So the opposition must be very careful in saying whatever it says. As regards Mr. Modi's approach to this whole thing, and to the basic parliamentary niceties, we have to understand one thing. The RSS and its ideology and the BJP, they basically, fundamentally, they don't believe in democracy. See, that is the basis of all this. They don't believe in democracy. They don't believe in debates. What they say is what they say is the final truth. I mean, Hindutva is the hard line, and nobody can refuse to toe the hard line of Hindutva. You may not agree with us, but you have to fall in line. That is so there are not going to be any debates about Hindutva. Hindutva is the final thing for them. And parliamentary democracy and all, these are all instruments in their hands to further this ideology to its whatever logical or illogical end. So they see their whole idea is to subvert democracy by using the institutions of democracy. That is the whole idea. That is the plan with which they are going ahead. So let's not expect them to follow the norms and ideals of parliamentary democracy. I think what they are doing, we should expect them to do only that. They will not do anything different. So when Mr. Modi became Prime Minister, one of the first things he said was his aim is to make India Congress Mukt Bharat. Now that word Congress is there because Congress is the biggest opposition party. But then their attempt has been to decimate all the opposition parties, including their own ideological partners like Shiv Sena, JDU. Wherever they had some partners, they have tried to decimate them also. So they want to bring in single party system. That is their ultimate aim. That is why Mr. Modi speaks of 2047. And he very clearly says that I am going to unfurl the national flag next year. And in 2024-25, India is going to be the third biggest economy. So he is taking it for granted that he is going to be there. And he is taking it for granted that BJP is going to be there till 2024, which means that come what may, we are not going to hand over power. And which eventually means that they want to establish a single party system in India on the lines of the Chinese Communist Party. That is why their delegations, the RSS delegations, have been visiting China for a long time. When they were not in power, Ram Madhav used to lead those delegations. They used to have some training there with the Communist Party of China.
In fact, there is a joke on the Twitter which says that one nation, one election, one party, and now one leader.
Yes.
Since the time these suspensions have taken place.
So that is exactly what their plan is. So don't expect them to extend any parliamentary niceties to opposition. They will behave like this, even if the opposition behaves in the most sophisticated, most polished, most moderate way. They will never extend any niceties to opposition. So, but then I think opposition should avoid the kind of drama they enacted today with somebody, mocking, doing a mockery of the chairperson of Rajya Sabha. That should be avoided. I mean, we are not standing at the pan kiosk and doing this kind of a mockery of parliamentary proceedings. So they should avoid this. And Rahul Gandhi was filming that, so that doesn't behove the leader of the opposition like him. So I think they should avoid. Otherwise, there will be no difference between BJP and opposition.
Right.
Let the BJP do anything.
No,
You
no,
should
that's
maintain
an
your
important
dignity.
point. That's an important point. And on this point only, Rajalakshmi, I want to come to you that why do you think that opposition sometimes really gets wavered and resorts to cheap theatrics like these? I'm not saying that mimicry is bad or mimicry is unethical, because Kalyan Banerjee was seen mimicking Jagdeep Dhankar and then Rahul Gandhi filming it, and then Congress party putting that clip out on the Instagram. Now they realized it later and then they deleted and withdrew that clip. But why is opposition also resorting to these kind of methodologies? Why not some serious steps when they are registering their protest outside the Gandhi statue and elsewhere? Why resort to such tactics?
I think
It's become the center for so much of criticism. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's been over amplified, Nilu, this whole thing about the mimicry part. It's a classic case of of using a diversionary tactic by shifting the focus from the main issue. Is that Parliament has not had a debate on this what happened on that day, right? So and this is what the opposition has been demanding, that in fact, let's have a debate, because having a debate would mean going into those issues of unemployment, going into the issue of Manipur, going into the issue of farmers issues, right? These are the things that those youngsters raised, essentially. So even if I mean, a little side mimicry happens, and that too outside the house, now I think we should be concerned as to what happened inside the house. Inside the house is what should be happening, and which is what the ruling government, the ruling party is not allowing. And in fact, somebody, in fact, there was an editorial today in one of the papers which said that suspensions, yes, happened before. Now this is this whole discourse about kitne zyada suspensions ke, how many, so even if you compare that, in fact, prior to 2004, or in fact, in the period from 2004 till 2014, when India comes into power, they said that, in fact, ruling party MPs were also suspended. But the contrast is that, if you compare the two, it seems only opposition MPs have been targeted as a rule. And it's a subversion of yet another institution, Parliament, where you do not allow allow debates on any important issue of public importance, which is what Parliament is all about, to debate, to
Rajalakshmi,
discuss.
today, PM
Yeah.
also said another thing. I mean, I'm just recalling that from what you just said. PM also said that he's telling the MPs that we should expose the opposition, keep it within the limits of democracy. Now, he talks about democracy. He hails India as a mother of democracy.
Yeah.
But when it comes to practicing democracy within the house, that's completely missing. So is PM trying to redefine democracy in some way? Maybe people like you and me, or maybe Anand sir or Vivek, do not understand that definition of democracy. And for BJP and the Prime Minister, the definition of democracy is completely something else. What they want people to understand.
Yeah, it seems that for the ruling party, it seems that the definition of democracy is this: not allowing a debate on the floor of the house. In fact, allowing its governors in opposition ruled states to completely run amok till the Supreme Court intervenes and says, that unelected governors should not go beyond beyond the mandate. And we have seen this repeatedly happening in Kerala. We have seen it happening in Punjab. And in spite of that, and here you have governors who sit on bills, for an indefinite period of time. And bills which are crucial which are of crucial importance to deal with the social sector, for instance, like health and education, right? I mean, till the state assemblies do not pass those bills, effectively, policies can't be implemented, So here we have a case where every institution, including what's happening, in the university system today. We have teachers, who have served for so many years, on ad hoc positions and are not been selected just because they do not conform to a certain kind of a thinking that this government seems to affirm to. Yeah. So I'm saying that it's just a pattern that we see. In fact, it's very interesting, the investigating agencies. They, I mean, I again sort of read it in a section of the media. They have said that these youngsters, who threw those canisters, etc. They said that they've said that preliminary inquiries reveal that they wanted to raise issues to deal with the farmers issue, and then and then unemployment, as well as Manipur. Now see, okay, the PM till date has not made has not gone, to Manipur, right? And then, even on the floor of the house, there has not been a discussion, on Manipur. So if these youngsters, they were raising some issues, and those issues happen to be of public importance also, and therefore, if Rahul Gandhi says that they were raising issues of unemployment, I don't think he's really wrong. And ultimately, it was not a terror attack in that sense. In fact, one of them was beaten up quite badly by the MPs. They did not physically injure anybody. Yes, you can have various possibilities. Now to state that the temple of democracy has been attacked, but here you don't allow the temple of democracy to function. So so all this is, I think, diversionary. How the opposition should behave to shift the onus of behavior of appropriate behavior on the opposition. It's a standard, tactic, sort of adopted by the by the ruling party, of shifting the goalposts. As soon as this is the debate, you sort of change it.
Absolutely. Now I'll come to the concluding remarks to Anand sir and Vivek, and Anand, to you first. That the PM also says that the opposition, it seems, has made up its mind to stay in the opposition. Now, if the Prime Minister is telling his own MPs that, the opposition has made up its mind to remain in the opposition, what do we really infer from this statement? And also now the fact that we just have about another 3 days of Parliament, 22nd, it's the last day of the Parliament session. All the bills will be bulldozed because we hardly have an opposition now. So where is this parliamentary setup in the country under BJP rule now heading to?
I'd like to say two things very quickly. One is that this is a new phase in our political life. What we have just witnessed, the Home Minister and the Prime Minister running away from Parliament, refusing to own up responsibility for their failures to maintain the security of Parliament House. The Speaker of India has also made his own contribution in finding an escape route by saying completely nonsensical things like, its whole thing is under me. No, the Delhi police is not under you. When the investigation takes place, it will take into account what happened inside the house, where the parliamentary house security comes in, which is under you. But the backstory, because you go on talking constantly, you meaning the government side, of a conspiracy, of things like that. So what is the backstory? Why were these young people in? That is not the Speaker's job. But the Speaker and the Chairman of the upper house, they have been only too worshipful of the government of the day instead of being neutral umpires. They have not been that. So this is one thing, a new phase we find in the last 10 years of the present government and the present leader of the government. And I have one more comment to make. This is if you're a political tracker, if you're an observer of politics, if you are an observer of history, then quite possibly these are the first few steps of a second republic in India. The first republic is the constitution that we've got from 1950 to the present. And this is a new phase, which means that you have the constitution, you don't yet burn it, because the time to burn it hasn't come yet, and nor is it required, but you practically disable it so completely by throwing out all the leading opposition MPs, all the not so leading opposition MPs, in fact, practically every opposition MP, except those of the King's Party or King's parties. So this is a second republic. If you can call that disabled arrangement, which is heading in the direction of something beyond autocracy, if we can still call it a republic, because the election is yet to be held, and these people, all of them who are running the show now, came through an election process. Therefore, I still call it a republic, though that word itself looks to be a little bit inappropriate now. But the first republic, as we have known it since 1950, its life is over. People who are running the show, who are responsible for maintaining the dignity of the republic, of democracy, of the decorum of the house, etc. Such people, we have not had a government run by a people with such degraded democratic ethics. That is one thing I'd say. Two, I have this to say about today it is the diversionary tactic on the part of the government to try and find ways to question the opposition parties in a variety of ways, while refusing to be questioned themselves. Today, the fundamental issue is, what is the government doing? What has it done? For, I believe, 45 days, there has been no head of security. There have been no meetings around security. The security is understaffed. And all these questions will arise in case there is a discussion. The question will also arise, who are these people? Are they terrorists? Are they genuinely young people who are trying to ask the government? Since the government, this present government, has not answered questions on a single matter of significance, whether it is Manipur, whether it is Chinese encroachment of Indian territory, whether it is, the economic situation and so on. Therefore, these people frustrated. My summary of this may be wrong, but come to the house, tell us your side of the story, the government side of the story. When the BJP is in the opposition, and I have seen this for 4 decades, always bring out a white paper. That's the first demand. They're always demanding of the government white paper on this. So let's have a white paper on this. Let's have a white paper on Manipur. Let's have a white paper on Chinese encroachment of our territories.
Right.
But you've not answered a single question. And instead, you spin words. And all your favorite sections of the media will carry those words. And then, because there's election time now, 4 or 5 months, there will be elections. To cast the blame on the opposition as if the opposition is running the country, what does the ethics say? And you must forgive me for saying this, and the presiding officers of the two houses, they have, if you excuse my saying this, they have not conducted themselves with the sobriety and grace, and some people may be forgiven for thinking that they've made a mockery of themselves. And as a consequence, no proud farmer in India, no proud worker in India, no proud middle-class person or intellectual in India is going to be proud of the conduct of the presiding officers of the two houses of parliament. Absolutely. They've been way too condoning of the government, way too worshipful, way too following of the path shown by the government. Because all this one after another sacking of MPs, practically sacking of MPs, has come after the PM's observation. We shall have no debate. Once a leader of the government by a party like the kind that our colleague Mr. Deshpande was describing just now, once he gives that line, then the presiding officers, they'll be tested. Do they fall in line with that process? Or do they say to the government, this is where you get off?
Exactly.
I'm going to give the country as fair a chance as we give you, the government. And by the country here, it means the elected representatives of the people.
Absolutely.
If you do not do that, then history will judge you as having fallen short of the expectations from you.
For the concluding comment, Vivek, very briefly, now, how do you think these suspensions will unfold in the coming months? Of course, it has given a big boost to the India Alliance parties, and now they have got united. Of course, suspensions will become an issue. But how do you see this unfolding now in the run-up to 2024 elections? Very briefly, we're running short of time. Yeah. Yes, Vivek.
Nilu, I think not much time is left now for this parliament to end this particular tenure of 5 years. So nothing much will happen. I think now we are going into election phase, and everything. I mean, elections will take over everything. So nothing is going to happen after this parliament session. I don't. There will be a budget session, of course, but then I don't think beyond the budget presentation there would be anything much of any transactions happening there. So I don't know if there is going to be any another round of ruckus at that time. You never know. There could be one, because given the kind of politics that BJP plays out, I think this might repeat every time the parliament gets into session. But be that as it may, but then because all the political parties will be engrossed by elections and the election fervor, there won't be much of these quarrels happening in the parliament, and those quarrels will now happen on the streets. So let's see how does this play out, whether this really galvanizes the opposition into some sort of a very solid unity. That is $1 million question. They must. If they don't, then they will have more rounds of expulsions in the next 5 years, and they should be prepared to face it. So their unity index has to be perfect, and they have to fight unitedly and see to it that they defeat the BJP, which is a very tall order. Of course, I mean, it's easier said than done, but then they have to defeat the BJP this time anyhow. Otherwise, there's not going to be any democracy, even any semblance of democracy after 2024. And there, we may not even see parliament sessions happening over there. With virtually no opposition being allowed to have their way in any respect. Neelu.
Janad already has said that it's Republic 2 what we are witnessing, but highly unfortunate. But let's see, a lot of things on the testing block, whether it is BJP, whether it's the opposition, how things unfold. Thank you so much, Anand Sahai, for being with us. Vivek, Rajlakshmi, wonderful to have you on the program. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this discussion: subscribe to our channel, send us a feedback, and stay tuned to The Federal. Thank you.
Subscribe to The Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.